Introduction. So, what really happens if Trump's America faces a second defeat? For millions, it's a victory. But for others, it's the ultimate defeat. The shockwaves would go far beyond the White House walls. His loyal base, the GOP, America's global standing, all in the balance. A defeat wouldn't just be political, it could ignite tensions across the country. Impacts on the Republican Party. If Trump were to lose in 2024, the Republican Party could face a real shakeup. Many in the GOP might see a second loss as a signal for change, a sign that it's time to rethink their direction. Some longtime Republicans may start to call for fresh leadership, someone who can expand the party's reach beyond Trump's loyal base. But here's the challenge. The party isn't united. There's a split between die-hard Trump supporters and those who think it's time to move on. This internal divide could lead to serious tension over the party's identity and future. Without Trump at the center, new GOP figures like Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley could step into the spotlight. Each of them represents a different direction for the Republican Party. DeSantis appeals to Trump's base with a tough stance on issues, while Haley leans more moderate, aiming to appeal to those who felt uneasy about Trump's style. Polls suggest nearly half of Republican voters favor DeSantis as a future leader, with Haley close behind. If Trump loses, we could see a full-blown battle for the future of the GOP, a choice between staying with Trump's America First approach or moving toward a broader, more inclusive platform. Policy changes with a Democratic win. A Trump loss in 2024 wouldn't just impact the Republican Party, it would also open the door for the Democrats to push some big changes. If the Democrats hold power, we'd likely see bold moves on climate, healthcare, and social policies. For example, there could be more federal funding for renewable energy projects and stronger action on reducing emissions. On healthcare, Democrats may try to expand Medicare or protect affordable healthcare options. On the global stage, a Democratic win would likely bring a shift in tone. The U.S. would focus more on working closely with allies, such as NATO and the EU. This could mean returning to agreements like the Paris Climate Accord and pushing for more cooperation on international issues. While many Americans favor a more collaborative approach, not everyone would welcome these changes. Some of Trump's supporters argue that his America First policies put the U.S. in a stronger position. This split highlights the ongoing tension in American politics over whether to prioritize international partnerships or put domestic interests first. Potential unrest and distrust. If Trump loses the 2024 election, we could see a strong reaction from his core supporters. Many of them have deep doubts about the fairness of the election process. And these beliefs could lead to widespread protests, especially in key battleground states. In fact, experts think there's a real chance of unrest, similar to what we saw in past election cycles. The problem is that social media often fuels these tensions. False information or disinformation about the election could spread fast, deepening distrust in the process. Research shows that unverified news spreads quicker than real information, and with the algorithms that prioritize engaging content, the situation could escalate rapidly. If claims of election fraud take hold again, it could put the nation on edge, with different groups divided over what they believe is true. Platforms like Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, might have to step in to control false narratives to keep things from spiraling. This ongoing mistrust could drive an even bigger wedge between Americans and further strain the foundations of democracy. Trump's legal and financial challenges. If Trump loses the 2024 election, he could face significant legal and financial challenges. While in office, Trump has some immunity from legal issues, but once he's out, that protection would no longer apply.
If Trump is defeated, he will not accept the result and will do everything he can to try to prevent that count on, I think it's January 5th this year, where they're certifying the presidential electoral votes. The difference between 2024 and 2020 is that he's not president. And he doesn't have the kind of levers of power that he was fully able to exercise to try to prevent a Biden victory in the Electoral College. He will do that again, but not from the kind of position of power that he had back in 2020 and early 2021. If Trump is elected, what we will find is colossal change. I've referred to it in other interviews as burning down the house, in effect. And so voters, I think, are faced with a situation where they can either vote for the status quo with some incremental changes to it, but pretty much the same as the Biden administration, versus really radical changes at the national level, particularly if Trump is in control or the Republicans are in control of the Senate and the House. There would be colossal changes there. And I think that we should believe what he says, that it would be an election or an administration that is fueled by a desire for retribution.
Hello to our great sports fans, and I hope you're having a fantastic time. We're 2 days away from the most important election in the history of our country. We've got to save our country, and it needs saving. It's in very bad shape. The worst economic numbers in generations were just announced 2 days ago. We're losing jobs, we're losing everything, including viability. We're going to end up in a depression based on what's been happening. We've never seen anything like it, at least for the last 40 years. We have to straighten out our country. We have to close our borders. We have to lower our taxes. We have to get rid of inflation, and we're going to do it. Just remember, Kamala and her friends broke it. I'll fix it. Most important election in the history of our country. Go and vote.
Conclusion. Will America ever be the same? As America moves forward, a 2024 loss for Trump could bring big changes to the nation's politics, culture, and future. The question is, can America bridge these divides and find common ground? Or will these splits become deeper, reshaping how Americans view democracy, leadership, and each other? Only time will tell if the country can come together or remain divided along these strong lines. So as we look to the future, one thing is clear. America stands at a critical crossroads, and the choices made in the coming years could define its direction for generations.